Meanwhile, Israel has been condemning a deal long before it was even reached. And as expected, harsh words from the Israeli Prime Minister today. Benjamin Netanyahu says his country isn't bound by an agreement that makes the world a more dangerous place. And he didn't just stop there. The CBC's Middle East correspondent Derek Stoffel is in Jerusalem and joins us now with more. So, Derek, tell us more about the reaction being heard in Israel.
Well, Nancy, from Benjamin Netanyahu, more harsh words today. He's really been one of the most vocal critics of this whole process over the last couple of weeks, saying this was going to be a bad deal. And then today, when he spoke here in Jerusalem at the regular meeting of cabinet, he said this is not an historic agreement. This is an historic mistake. He says, as you mentioned, that it will make the world a more dangerous place. He also added that Israel is not bound to this agreement, and he said that Israel has an obligation and a right to defend itself. You have to remember that Israel is thought to be the only country here in the Middle East that has nuclear weapons capabilities. And Israel, Netanyahu in particular, has spent years campaigning to make sure Iran does not get the nuclear bomb, because they feel that, with all the threats that the Iranian regime has made over the year, that Iran is a mortal threat. Now, in terms of what the Israelis would like to see, they would like to make sure that the Iranians do not have the capability to enrich uranium on their own soil. But, of course, that is not a part of this agreement. And instead, today we heard from Iran's President Hassan Rouhani. He went on television to tell Iranians that, they have that right to enrich uranium. And I think it's important, for Iranians to have their own nuclear program. It's a source of pride. And they also do not want to be told, by another country exactly, what they can and cannot do. So inside Iran, this deal is largely being welcomed. And we know the stock market went up as a result of the fact that some of these sanctions will be lifted.
Beyond that, Derek, though, of course, we are hearing concerns expressed elsewhere in the Middle East. Tell me more about that part of the story.
That's right. From a number of countries, a small group of countries have reacted. There's been, a curiously sort of muted reaction in the Middle East. From Syria and Iraq, they say that they welcome this deal, they support it. We also heard in the last couple of hours from the United Arab Emirates. Probably, behind the scenes, they're a little bit concerned about this deal, but in the open, they are welcoming this agreement. What's interesting is Saudi Arabia. In the last couple of weeks, there's been sort of this rift between Saudi Arabia and its longtime ally, the United States, over just this particular issue, and also Syria. We've heard nothing official from the Saudis today, although CNN is quoting a senior government official saying that it is unhappy with the prospect of this deal. But the Saudis have long threatened that they would build their own sort of weapons program, nuclear weapons program, if the Iranians have the ability to build their own bomb. Of course, that is the goal of this temporary agreement, is to make sure the Iranians don't do that. And, in the early read of this, Nancy, from arms experts who have had a look at sort of some of the terms, they say that this certainly should slow Iran from achieving a nuclear bomb. But there are many in the Middle East, particularly here in Israel, who simply don't believe that.
We'll definitely stay tuned. Derek, thanks very much for this. Derek Stoffel in Jerusalem.